What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Conor McGregor takes shots at Dustin Poirier. Conor McGregor once again took aim at longtime rival Dustin Poirier this week, reigniting the war of words between the pair after Poirier recalled the time he got into a fight during Mardi Gras. As the Diamond explained while speaking with Theo Von, when a guy came up behind his wife and wrapped his arm around her stomach, a fight ensued. In response, Conor McGregor took to social media poking fun at the situation in a series of now deleted posts. In one, he wrote, "So me and my wife Jolie were at Mardi Gras this one time and a guy came over and bent her over a fence like this and was whispering in her ear and I just saw red." In a follow-up, McGregor then added, "Bent her over and ear effed her." McGregor then concluded with one final post, writing, "He was seeing red, bro. Sexy red, haha." For his part, Poirier has yet to respond to McGregor's comments, and it's unclear whether or not he will. This week, the Diamond made a cryptic post hinting at retirement, along with a screenshot of his fight with Islam Makhachev. Poirier wrote, "Been toe-to-toe with the best of them, grateful for the journey." In addition, it was also confirmed this week that Poirier would be joining the UFC broadcasting team as a desk analyst for UFC 303, leading fans to wonder whether or not he could make a permanent transition to a broadcasting role like other UFC vets. Next up, let's take a look at MMA Community reacts to Arman Tsarukyan's suspension. While walking out to fight Charles Oliveira at UFC 300, Arman Tsarukyan found himself involved in a scuffle with a fan. While it was initially unclear what sparked the altercation, replay footage and a video the fan was taking at the time of the incident show that Tsarukyan threw a punch at the fan for giving him the finger. Now, as a result, he's been handed a $25,000 fine and a 9-month suspension from the Nevada State Athletic Commission that will expire on January 12, 2025. However, according to multiple outlets, if Tsarukyan issues an anti-bullying PSA, he could have 3 months knocked off his suspension, meaning that he'd be eligible to return on October 12th. The MMA community was quick to react, with Grabaka Hitman writing, "The 6-month suspension is whatever. I can't wait for Arman's anti-bullying PSA. But of course, the NSAC has to pocket $25K from this, and not excusing the response, but in real life, the bully would be the guy flipping a random person off. But hey, MMA Joey reacted to the news as well, writing, "NSAC has a power complex. 9-month suspension for basically nothing? What an effing clown show." One fan found the situation ironic, writing, "Bro getting bullied into an anti-bullying PSA." Another added, "Karma got him for talking all that mess about Dustin after his fight with Islam." One member of the MMA community blamed the fan for the situation, writing, "Look, I'm not a big fan of Arman, but this is some ish by Nevada. The fan effed around and found out, and that should be the end of it." Another also took aim at the fan who gave Tsarukyan the finger, writing, "Screw the crap mission. The fan got what he deserved. Should have broke his jaw." In addition, Ariel Helwani took to social media, predicting that Tsarukyan will likely take the steps needed to have his suspension reduced by making an anti-bullying PSA in order to fight Islam Makhachev in Abu Dhabi in October. This was then confirmed with Tsarukyan's manager by Brett Okamoto, who relayed a message from Tsarukyan's team that read, "Arman appreciates the NSAC's dealings in this matter and looks forward to working with the UFC and NSAC to produce an anti-bullying PSA to reduce his suspension and competing for a UFC lightweight title before the end of the year." From the sounds of things, despite the suspension, Tsarukyan and Makhachev will likely compete for the lightweight belt in October. Next up, let's take a look at Jiri Prochazka makes wild claim about Alex Pereira. Heading into UFC 303, Jiri Prochazka seems to believe that he's not only up against Alex Pereira, he's also up against quote-unquote spiritual things that Poatan has used throughout his career to give him an advantage. During a recent appearance on the MMA Hour, Prochazka spoke about the situation, alleging that Pereira is working with shamans who give him spiritual help when he fights.
So everybody knows he's working with some shamanics, with some shamans.
Yeah.
From his like hometown.
Yeah.
He believes in some like spiritual help from them.
This, of course, wasn't the only comments Prochazka made this week that raised eyebrows around the MMA community. During one of the UFC embedded episodes leading up to Saturday's card, Prochazka revealed that he eats 100% pure chocolate before training because it's good for muscles.
The pure chocolate helps for muscles to be like tougher, and for strength training I'm using that. Normally I'm taking like 100% pure chocolate, but here is the machine for drink hot chocolate. So
with fight night rapidly approaching, it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out. Next, let's take a look at Robert Whittaker fighting at UFC 305? From the sounds of things, after a flawless victory over Ikram Aliskerov, Robert Whittaker could be back in action before the end of summer. With the UFC set to hit Perth for UFC 305, there's been plenty of talk of the former champion making a quick turnaround. However, according to his agent, who spoke with Fox Sports Australia, after undergoing emergency tooth surgery prior to the fight, Whittaker will first have to consult with doctors before agreeing to anything. As he explained, quote, "Right now, regarding Perth, it's just too early to say," they conceded. Obviously, there was a lot of talk on the night about Rob being the backup for that UFC 305 main event. There was also talk about him fighting somebody else too, and potentially, he could still do either of those. He'll have to meet with the team and talk it through. As Daniel Cormier then explained in the video for his YouTube channel this week, if he's able to, Whittaker should weigh in as the backup fighter for the UFC 305 main event between Dricus du Plessis and Israel Adesanya.
Israel Adesanya and Dricus du Plessis fight in Perth in 2 months. Robert Whittaker should weigh in as the backup fighter. One, he'll make some money, but it will also put him on a short list of guys that can step in if somebody gets hurt. Guys, we know that it's rare that the backup fighter actually gets the fight. But if you ask me, or if you tell me that anyone is willing to do it, I would be more than willing to put a lot of money against yours to know that Robert Whittaker would be the guy that always raised his hand.
As DC went on to explain, given that Whittaker lost to Dricus du Plessis back in 2023, if he weighs in as the backup fighter and Adesanya withdraws, he would find himself in a position to avenge his loss to DDP much sooner than expected. In addition, on the flip side, in the event that DDP is forced out of the fight, Whittaker would also have a chance to fight Israel Adesanya, an opponent the UFC likely wouldn't look to book a trilogy fight with under normal circumstances. For his part, Whittaker has fueled speculation that he could make a quick turnaround with a video posted to his Instagram story on Tuesday. In it, he thanked his family, his team, and the UFC before then teasing fans with an announcement.
Stay tuned. I'm going to announce something, hopefully not too long. I'm going to take my family away and spend some time and just unwind a little bit, but I look to be getting back in there and getting back to work. Thanks, guys.
With things seemingly already in motion for Whittaker's next fight, it'll be interesting to see what the Reaper's big announcement actually is. Next, let's take a look at Michael Page talks about Ian Garry game plan. This weekend, Michael Venom Page and Ian Garry will compete in a clash of strikers with serious implications for the welterweight rankings. With Garry looking to continue his climb up the ladder and MVP eager to pick up his second straight victory while inserting himself into the title picture, the stakes couldn't be higher for both men. While speaking in an interview with ESPN, MVP spoke about the bout, revealing that he has no plans of mixing things up and deviating from his bread and butter.
If it goes to the ground, it's not because I'm going to want it to go to the ground, it's just because he's going to want to try and get it to the ground. I've done it many a times, I say this many a times. I turn competent strikers into wrestlers. I do it every single time because when they stand in front of me, they realize the timing, they realize the speed, they realize just my ability to just be untouched, land heavy shots. Then it's like, yeah, forget this game plan, let's go elsewhere and try and figure it out. So I think the same thing's going to happen here.
On the flip side, Garry has predicted that he's going to put on an absolute masterclass on Saturday night, revealing his plans to outclass MVP wherever the fight takes place, while showing the former Bellator contender that there are levels to the game. Next, let's take a look at Tom Aspinall on Curtis Blaydes' fight. Tom Aspinall and Curtis Blaydes have had unfinished business since their 2022 headliner in London ended in an injury just 15 seconds into the fight. Now, with the pair set to run things back in Manchester at UFC 304, Aspinall is eager to defend the interim title and avenge the lone loss on his UFC record. While speaking in an interview with JP Mastanza, Aspinall spoke about the fight, reiterating that he believes Curtis Blaydes is the most dangerous opponent for him in the division stylistically.
I think I've always said that Curtis Blaydes is the most dangerous opponent for me in the division. I mean, heavyweight is a dangerous division in general, but I think stylistically he is the toughest matchup for me. But I welcome it. You know, I want to test myself. I want to see where I'm at. I want to see where he's at, and it's a fight in my home city. So doesn't matter who it's against. I ain't saying no.
In addition, Aspinall was also asked about his future plans going forward, assuming he gets the job done against Blaydes in Manchester. Despite previously making it clear that he wants to compete against John Jones, Aspinall explained that his focus is entirely on Curtis Blaydes.
I don't know. There's a lot of good fights out there for me, but ultimately, right now, all I'm thinking about is Curtis Blaydes. That's the way I work. That's the way my mind processes this whole thing. Like, I've got 6 weeks now of training for the biggest fight of my life, and I'm fighting on the 27th of July. For me, in my mind right now, the 28th of July doesn't really exist. I'm not thinking that far. I'm just literally focusing all my energy and doing everything I can to beat Curtis Blaydes, and that's it.
Ahead of the fight, Aspinall currently sits as a pretty heavy betting favorite on FanDuel with negative 260 odds, while on the flip side, Blaydes is a plus 196 underdog. The MMA community roasts Sean O'Malley after Sean posted a skit where he interviews a doll of Merab. Here's what the MMA community had to say. Sugar getting a bit cringe now. Worse than Merab skits. Bro's mad he couldn't get a lookalike. I don't know who's cornier out of Sugar and Merab these days. LOL, trying to do something since Merab has been cooking him. And people think this guy will be the new face of the company. This dude needs to hire Merab for marketing, cause what the actual F? He's gone full Cejudo. Auraless, sauceless, sad. Charles Oliveira's next fight is in the works for UFC 305. Dan Hooker recently revealed that he was offered to fight Charles Oliveira and is waiting for Charles to sign the contract. He said, "Nothing official, but obviously I'm 100% in. The old Charles Oliveira. I think that's the fight fans would love to see. Let's see if he takes the cake and signs on the dotted line." Top comments. Chimaev went from "I'll kill everybody" to "I'll kill antibodies with my overtraining" real quick. As for Ortega, the dude really got manipulated into donating his purse to a pulpit hustler. Shaking my head. Poatan is presenting himself as a role model of character. He is one of a kind. As a Christian, donating money to a megachurch with a rich pastor is absolutely ridiculous. Nonsense. Conor or Hamzat fans should just move on. Hamzat reveals return to the hospital.